Good evening, hello and welcome. You're watching CNN News 18. This is Nation at 5 with me, Poonam Burde. There's lots lined up for you on this edition, but let's get you started with an exclusive that we have for you. Details are now tumbling out of a dirty plot that Pakistan is leading against India. Several Pakistani deepfake agents have been embedded in the system here in India for years together. That is what probe is now revealing. We now have more details of the latest case that has now come to the fore. The chief manager of J&K Bank was sacked yesterday. He is believed to be an agent of the ISI running Pakistani narrative here in India for decades together. Finally, he was rooted out. The allegations against him are that he is using money that comes in from Pakistan to peddle propaganda here in India. Anti-India activities is the allegation against him, and that's really why he was sacked yesterday. But for years together, that went unnoticed. He has been on the payroll of this country, even as he tried to run an agenda against us. Let's take a look at what the allegations are against this particular official of the J&K Bank who now stands sacked. Let's take a look at what the allegations are. We're given to understand that agencies believe, and this is under investigation now, that he was secretly working for Pakistan and ISI. What exactly was he doing for them? He was an asset of the terrorist separatist network here in India. He was in Jammu and Kashmir, in Batmalu, in Srinagar, in fact, for decades together. He was illegally working at Greater Kashmir. Remember, Greater Kashmir is a media publication in Jammu and Kashmir. He wrote articles that supported Pakistani agenda. He wrote a weekly column in which he used his Pakistani narrative and peddle lies against India in that particular column in this media publication. Articles glorified secessionist campaign as well, and that went unnoticed for years together. He also used different pen names to hide his identity. He changed his name, added a few more letters here and there as well to make it look like he was a different person altogether so that he could escape the radar of the agencies. He also towed the Pakistani line. He did so in the columns that he was writing. The Record and WhatsApp is what these columns were that he used to write for the Greater Kashmir publication, which he used as his mouthpiece for Pakistan to try and peddle this anti-India sentiment in Jammu and Kashmir. Those are the allegations that are now being investigated by the agencies. He is believed to have communicated with several close aides of Jaish-e-Mohammed Chief Masood Azhar as well. All of that is now under investigation. CNN News 18 is getting you details of this plot that has now been busted by the agencies. Remember, it is the CID in Jammu and Kashmir that is looking at all of these cases. Several such employees who've been working within several parameters of the Jammu and Kashmir government, the several government affiliated institutions have been sacked in the recent past. Ishan and Tejinder, my colleague, joining us, getting us more details of this. Tejinder, coming to you first. The sacking happened yesterday of this particular person, but we're given to understand that he was working for the J&K Bank for decades together.
See, Poonam, around 60 such employees have so far been identified who were working on behest of Pakistan, who were peddling the narrative of Pakistan, who were radicalizing the youth, and some of them were directly involved in terror activities. Now, speaking about this particular case, Sajjad Ahmed Bazaz, he was the chief manager at the Jammu and Kashmir Bank, and he was appointed on the behest of the recommendations that were made by the ISI. So you can well understand that his appointment into J&K Bank came on the recommendation of an ISI mole in Kashmir Valley. So for 33 long years, he continued to enjoy the patronage of successive governments. While he was an employee with the Jammu and Kashmir Bank, he was also an employee with the Greater Kashmir newspaper. He was a columnist, he was a correspondent, and the narrative which he used to peddle. For example, during when he used to write for Greater Kashmir, he used to write for the intervention of United Nations to resolve Kashmir issue. He was the one who used to blame the army. He used to peddle the narrative of Pakistan. If you remember, Pakistan had said that there are mass graves in Jammu and Kashmir, and in his articles he used to write that the international body should investigate about those mass graves. So being an asset of Pakistani ISI, Pakistan Army, and he was directly or indirectly in touch with several terror leaders sitting across in POK. Another important thing, he used to take money from the Pakistan High Commission, and that money was funneled into Kashmir Valley to come up with new publications that could spread the narrative of Pakistan. The agencies have also found that Sajjad Ahmed Bazaz, while working with Jammu and Kashmir Bank, he was operating more than 60 bank accounts. So
Yes.
you can well understand how shady his dealings would have been, that an employee of the same bank needed more than 60 bank accounts to run all his dealings. So now you see this sacking is not arbitrary as being alleged by various political parties, especially Mehbooba Mufti. The agencies have conducted thorough investigation. They have
Right.
all the data with them, all the proofs of everything with them, and only
And
after
what's
that,
most unfortunate is
decision
this is
to
not an
sack him was taken.
isolated
Yes.
case. There are several such sackings that have taken place, over 60, like you just pointed out, in the last few months, just in this year of 2023. Do stay on with me. Ishan, before I come to you, let's also take a look at who exactly is this person that was sacked and is now under the radar. Is there a bigger nexus that needs to be looked into that he could be at the center of? So Sajjad Ahmed Bazaz was a resident originally of Batmalu in Jammu and Kashmir. He was working in the Jammu and Kashmir Bank as the chief manager there. In 1990, he was planted in the J&K Bank by Pakistani ISI via Fayaz Kalu. Now, Fayaz Kalu was also the editor of Greater Kashmir, which is why this particular individual was writing columns for Greater Kashmir as well. He was appointed to the post of the cashier cum clerk in this particular bank. That's where he started in 1990 and then rose up the ranks. In 2004, he was promoted to the head of internal communications of the Jammu and Kashmir Bank, which meant that he had complete control over the fake narrative that he was peddling against India. He was promoted thrice despite not clearing the crucial exam that needs to be done as far as the banking structure is concerned, not just in Jammu and Kashmir but in the rest of the country as well. The requirement for a written test was also dropped for him. So several such exceptions were made for Sajjad Bazaz to ensure that he kept working in the bank and kept funneling money into India for anti-national activities here. So let's take a look at what exactly he was doing. How exactly he ensured that Pakistani money was brought into India and then that those funds were used to foment trouble here in Jammu and Kashmir. This is how he did it. This is what intel sources are now telling your channel. That he funded select few newspapers and magazines in Jammu and Kashmir. They were highlighted. They were then used by this particular individual to ensure a certain narrative was peddled. The funding came in via ads and the money was drawn from the Jammu and Kashmir Bank where Bazaz was working. He owned and operated at least 68 accounts in the Jammu and Kashmir Bank. Over 60 accounts is what this one person was handling, all of which went unnoticed for years together. In 2015, from 2015 to 2023, in fact, Greater Kashmir, which is a news publication that I was talking about, received several ads that came to the fore via the money that was deposited in this Jammu and Kashmir Bank that came to the fore from Pakistan. In 2012, there was a surge in pro-Pakistani newspapers and pro-magazines as far as the narrative in Jammu and Kashmir is concerned. The agenda was simple. It was one. It was to whip up anti-India sentiment. It was to push a false narrative that Pakistan was trying to peddle. This was amplifying the Pakistani jihadi narrative that Pakistan has often tried to peddle via the internet as well. This is what they were trying to do via this individual in the Jammu and Kashmir Bank for at least 3 decades is what we're now learning. The aim was to push the Pakistani ISI narrative in a vitriolic manner, which is why he was doing so. He was writing these columns in Greater Kashmir and for years together, all of which went unnoticed.